Hi, and welcome to Fortresses 301 Auror. This is part of the Fortresses 101 mini-series where I take you from beginner to expert in all things Fortresses. My name is Geeta Lovegood, and today I'm going to be covering the entire Auror skill tree. In a previous video, I have covered where to get red books, green books, and scrolls. So if you don't know how to get those, make sure to go check out that video. In this video, I'm going to be using Neo's skill tree tool. I have talked about the skill tree tool in a previous video that I'll make sure to link right up here. I've also double checked the skill tree tool and everything seems to be accurate except for the very bottom node. It seems like this one was accidentally switched with the professor one in the same exact spot. So it says Full Moon Hunter, but it's supposed to be Mundungus Among Us, and it's supposed to be plus 20% Protego power versus Dark Wizards. But once we get there, I'll make sure to note that, and I'll try to overlay the correct graphics on the screen. I've also done another basics video where I cover what each of the different player sets mean and what they apply to. So make sure to go watch that if you're confused at any point in this video what the words mean for what you're adding onto your skill tree. So first, right off the bat, you've got the Auror Advantage, which you've kind of got to get in order to start your skill tree. So, you know, I don't really have to explain that. So my advice for this top section is to go ahead and, of course, first grab your extra 2 power nodes. Then you can go ahead and grab the Protego power nodes because why not? Those are very cheap. And of course grab the weakening hex as that's what's required to keep moving on. From here you have 2 directions that you can go. You can either go left and grab power and stamina, or you can go right and you can grab precision and critical power. Now, as all of these are also very cheap and very helpful with your skill tree, go ahead and grab them as you can. Prioritize the power nodes first, especially when you get those red books. Grab those power nodes with the red books first, and then you can prioritize precision and critical power, and then finally last you can grab those stamina nodes that cost red books. Now over here you've got Steel Conviction. Go ahead and grab this, but the one right below it, Playing Dirty, go ahead and skip that one for now. We're not going to get that one till later. Bat Bogey Hex, grab that. Don't necessarily feel like you need to grab the second one yet because you can prioritize other things first. So now we are 22 books in and 172 scrolls in. You'll probably be getting to a brilliant event if you haven't already hit one. So what you want to spend your green books on first is go ahead and grab this improved weakness hex and go ahead and increase both of those nodes, and that will unlock your way to Dueling in the Dark, an extra initial focus. Initial focus is going to be very helpful. And you can go ahead and grab these other maximum focus that only cost scrolls. I wouldn't personally spend those 5 red books yet. I'd save those for one of the very last things that you get on your skill tree. Now let's go back up and you can see that we have the focus charm. Now the focus charm is only really going to be helpful for those of you in groups. Those of you that are solo, you're just gonna have to kind of grab this to keep going on in your skill tree. But we'll talk about focus later on at the end of the video. You can see that since we went around on both sides of the skill tree, that's why you were able to unlock those side things. Like this improved weakness hex, if you hadn't gone through the stamina side, you wouldn't have access to that. And same with this power on the right hand side, if you didn't go around and grab the precision and critical power, that would still be blocked off to you too. So definitely go all the way around, grab all of those skills. Then what you're going to want to focus is all of these power nodes. Go ahead and grab all the ones that only cost scrolls and grab the ones that cost very few books, so 4 or under books. Now underneath these power nodes on the very right hand side is where you can get to your defense breach. This is called Diggle's Discriminating Discourse. Now you can go ahead and grab defense breach if you want, but there is a hex that you guys are going to be getting very quickly that takes care of that. So if you want to, go ahead and skip defense breach. You can also skip the accuracy that's on the left hand side, that's right below the max focus. Both of these can be taken care of with the confusion hex, but don't worry, we'll get to that very soon. Now back to the main skill tree. Complete all of the power as soon as you can with the red books. Power is your best friend as an R, so always prioritize your power. Now go ahead and grab both of these proficiency power nodes that only cost scrolls, and same with the stamina, go ahead and grab the ones that only cost scrolls. Now, by this point you're probably through with your second brilliant event, so go ahead and grab Dancing with Dummies. This is going to be huge with helping you get critical hits on your first hit. And there's another skill that comes later on that kind of stacks on top of it and really helps you hit foes very hard right off the bat. If you're moving a little bit faster, just go back and grab Dancing with Dummies whenever you have your next round of 15 green books. Now, let's move on and go on to the Confusion Hex. So the Confusion Hex is very helpful. Foes have their own stats that vary depending on what level you're in. So this hex helps take care of some of their special skills that hurt us more. For example, werewolves have defense breach, so they can actually break through people's defense and make them less defensive. They also have their own defense, so this helps break down their defense. And with those pesky pixies and Urklings, this can help break through their dodge and make you a little bit more accurate, and your friends if you happen to be playing with them. So go ahead and grab that, and you can grab one of these Impair Foe Power nodes just because you've got the extra 4 books at the moment. And don't worry, we'll be coming back for the rest of those nodes very quickly. So the next big skill that you're going to be unlocking with the 15 green books is going to be First Strike. If you've been playing Wizards Unite for a while, you've probably heard a lot about this, but basically this, along with Dancing with Dummies, is going to help you almost guaranteed always critical hit off the bat, and it's going to be an even more powerful critical hit because of your extra 50% with 100% stamina. So with this, you do have to make sure that you are not using your bat bogey beforehand, because that sadly will knock them a little bit below 100% stamina. But besides that, this comes really in handy. So since we're down to the bottom of the skill tree and things are going to take a lot longer to unlock, everything is going to cost a lot more. You're gonna kind of want to beeline straight for First Strike. So when you have those green books, you're not being blocked by red books or scrolls. So go ahead and grab one of these proficiency powers, one of these proficiency powers, and then jump over, grab one of these precisions, grab one of these critical powers, and then make sure you have the 46 scrolls set aside, so as soon as you finish getting those green books, you can grab First Strike. Now the next skill you're going to want to unlock with green books is going to be the trick with Death Eaters. It's going to add 25% precision versus Death Eaters. So whenever you're fighting against Death Eaters, who actually have a lot of stamina, this is going to give you a much better percentage of hitting them with back-to-back critical hits. So go ahead and unlock one of those Protego Power nodes, one of the Stamina nodes, one of the Defense nodes, and then you have that open for precision against Death Eaters. Now after this, you're probably going to be spending a lot of time waiting in between for the next brilliant event, so fill out the rest of these, try to open up this precision node and open up these deficiency defense nodes so that you can grab these extra power as you get to them. And same with the critical power. All the critical power and all of the regular power that you can get without the red books, open them up as quickly as you can. And the next green books you're going to want to spend are on the Weakening Hex. And since brilliant events give out 15 green books each, and we're only at 65 green books now that we've maxed out the Weakening Hex, now we can start working on the Confusion Hex. So go ahead and grab both of those. That's going to put you at 73, so you'll probably have 2 green books left. And then once you get the next ones, you can come down to the final Weakening Hex Mastery and finish that off. So once you finish off the Weakening Hex, then the final one you're going to get is Mundungus Among Us, and then you can go finally back up to playing dirty, fill that out. If you really want to, you can spend your 4 books on Ferocious Bat Bogey Hex, but it's only going to give you an extra 2 points for every Bat Bogey, so I'll leave that up to you. So I know I didn't cover that in too much detail, so now I'm going to jump into which skills to focus on first with red books from here forward. So for all R's, what you're going to want to do is spend all of your red books on power first. Power is, like I said, your best friend. So as soon as you can, unlock every single extra power node that you can. Then, if you mainly play in groups, focus on proficiency power first. Then you can switch to critical power. If you mainly play solo, first focus on critical power, then focus on proficiency power. Once you finish off your critical power and proficiency power, then you're going to want to focus on precision. Precision, again, is your best friend, and it's really going to help you with landing those critical hits. After that, finish off your defense, then Protego power, then you can finish off stamina, then deficiency defense, and then I would wrap it up with accuracy, defense breach, and that last max focus. Alright, I think that's it. I think I've covered every skill on your skill tree. Now I'm going to jump into tips on both group battles and solo battles. You guys have it pretty complicated, I'm not going to lie. It can get pretty confusing if you don't memorize certain things. So first, let's talk solo play. If you're going in as a solo player, things aren't going to be too complicated for you. I just want to go ahead and pop up a chart for you so that you aren't wasting any focus. So each of the different foes have their own stats, and depending on what level they are, they might have certain things that they might not have at a lower level. But to put it very simply, and again, this is only as a solo player, there are 4 foes that are going to require both of your hexes, and then there are 2 foes that actually only require 1. So once you get to the higher levels, all of these are going to pick up extra skills. Earthlings and pixies are going to start dodging, and then dark wizards and werewolves are both going to pick up defense breach, and I believe it's just werewolves that pick up their own defense. So your 1 confusion hex takes care of all of that, all into 1 hex. However, acromantulas and Death Eaters don't have anything that is affected by the confusion hex. So you literally never have a reason that you need to use your confusion hex on spiders or Death Eaters, which is actually amazing. It's a huge, huge help on saving focus. So pretty much you're just going to want to make sure that you're hexing the right things. If you're struggling on time, make sure you're using your extimulo potions, and make sure you always have a huge batch of healing potions ready, because as a solo player, you're always going to need to make sure that you're keeping yourself alive, and things hit you very, very hard. As an R, you guys are kind of a glass cannon in a way, so having those healing potions on hand is very important. And if you're ever going against an elite foe, make sure you're drinking a healing potion after every single hit to try to ensure you don't faint. Alright, now I'm going to jump into the group tips. So being a group R can get a little bit hectic and a little bit confusing, but as long as you have a team that's communicating properly, everything should be smooth. So as I said with the solo Rs, there are certain foes that need certain hexes and certain foes that don't. Spiders and Death Eaters do not need the confusion hex ever. They actually don't have any skills that the confusion hex tackles. So using the confusion hex on spiders or Death Eaters are going to be just a waste of focus. But with Earthlings, Pixies, Dark Wizards, and Werewolves, they all have certain special skills that your confusion hex can completely eliminate and really help out your team. So a super fun thing about professors is they have this skill that's called the shield charm. That's what I call it anyways. It's really called the protection charm. I call it the shield charm. So this is basically a charm that's put onto each individual player, and it helps add on 30% defense to what their defense percentage already is. This charm costs them 3 focus each, so this is where it really helps for you guys to pass them focus. Another really cool thing to note is Magizoologists and professors both have the ability to get 0 damage, but it's not without your help. So for Magizoologists, first, they just need to get the shield charm on them from the professor, which don't worry, the professors know this. So once they have the shield charm on them, they do hit 100% defense, which means they take absolutely no damage. However, if they happen to be going against a werewolf or a dark wizard, those both have defense breach. And with Magizoologists sitting at just 101% defense, any amount of defense breach is going to start having them take damage. But as long as the R puts the confusion hex down on the werewolf or dark wizard, so the Magizoologist communicates with the R and says, hey, I'm about to take on this particular werewolf, or I'm about to take on this particular dark wizard, then you can go ahead and put the confusion hex down on that dark wizard. You won't actually have to put the weakening hex down, because putting the confusion hex down is going to guarantee that they're back at that 100% defense. With professors, it's a little bit more complicated than that. So professors have a few different skills that require them to have hexes and charms on. So once they have their shield charm on and their proficiency charm on, then they need to have all 3 hexes on whatever foe they are attacking, and that will get them at full power and full defense. So not only will this put them at I think 106% defense, but it'll also help them hit for 112 base power, and since they have to have the deterioration hex on the foe in order to get that extra power, they also have basically an extra 40 power every time the foe does Protego. So it really adds up and makes the professors super, super strong and very, very helpful teammates. But again, it relies very heavily on having an R playing with the professors. So ideally, for Rs going into a group battle, you should have at least one other Auror with you. Generally speaking, that is the best scenario, is to have at least 2 Aurors in the group. Of course, it's not 100% necessary, you don't have to do this, but per my recommendation, have at least 2 Aurors in the group, and then split up tasks. So before you go into the battle, you need to go ahead and discuss who is going to be doing all the hexes and who is going to be passing focus to the Magazoo or professor, whoever needs it. My suggestion is go with the Auror that has the chart memorized and has good communication skills so that they're not wasting and hexing things that don't need to be hexed, because there's nothing worse than focus being wasted, especially when Magazoos and professors need so much of it for all of their stuff. Which actually reminds me, if you're battling and you have a Magazoo in the group, Magazoologists actually have the ability to revive people. So what I like to do is called the strategic revive technique, where you allow yourself to faint and then you tell your Magazoo, hey, I'm about to faint, or I'm 1 hit away from being fainted. And then your Magazoo can run from their battle and revive you and then jump back in. It only costs them 1 focus to revive, but it costs 2 focus to heal, and healing is a much less percentage than reviving. So if you're really trying to save focus, this is the best way to go. If you're new to this game and you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I'm happy to help answer them. A quick thank you ahead of time to those of you that have hit the like button or commented, or any new subscribers. I very much appreciate all of you. And with that being said, I believe that's all for now. Until next time, you know what to do. Make sure to use your magic wisely and keep an eye out for Dementors. Nox.